Hey, diddle, diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon.
Coming to you live from the Skyrim Call Studio, it's Late Night Live with Not Donald Trump. Tonight, we welcome Adam from HODL. Plus, some degenerate gamblers. And a whole bunch of crazy apes. Featuring Drama Teeth and Stadium. Please, allow me to introduce myself. Thank you. Your wonderful audience, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Okay, stop clapping. Good evening, ladies and DJs, and welcome to another very special episode of Late Night Live with Not Donald Trump, where I have the honor and privilege of hosting tonight's show from the loudly luxurious Skyrim Call Studio. I'm, of course, your host, Not Donald Trump, as well as just a regular businessman and degenerate investor. Our guest tonight is Adam from HODL. Adam, thank you for joining us here tonight in the Skyrim Call Studio. It's a pleasure to meet you. How are you on this lovely evening?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Adam, there you go. Sorry, what?
It's kind of rugging a little bit. It's kind of jittery. But yeah, how you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm doing good, sir. Weird. Must be something up with Telegram itself then, because, yeah, it's been a little bit funky since the last update. I'm not sure why. But either way, I'm doing excellent as well, and we're happy to have you with us. Now, before we start, I just want to give the people listening a quick briefing as it's going to work. We will have an open floor after my questions are done, at which point we'll be answering community questions from the hands raised and posted in the text chat. To keep things organized and to ensure that your questions don't get lost in general conversation, please wait until either myself or the admins have announced that the floor is open before posting your questions or raising your hands. If you are asking your questions via text, please tag me at JonaldTronDump when posting your question. In the interest of time, please ensure that you limit your questions to one question per post or hand raise, and that you're keeping questions relevant to the project being interviewed. And just a reminder, those listening, absolutely none of your financial advisors, you should always do your own research. So, now we got all that out of the way. Adam, sir, you ready to begin?
Go.
Perfect. So to start us off here, before we talk about the project itself, let's get to know a bit more about you. Who the hell are you, and why should these DJs trust you and your team with their hard-earned beans?
Well, that's a fair question. So yeah, I'm Adam. I'm based in the UK.
He's based and in the UK.
Yeah, I'm over in the UK. I got into crypto around about the time of COVID because I was running a number of software businesses, and I kind of had to pivot because of the nature of those businesses, and they was also building technology for restaurants.
And with no restaurants, well, what the hell are you going to do with it that time?
Yeah, exactly. In the UK, it was they actually closed restaurants, and for about 9 months, I think it was absolutely crazy. And just got into crypto, and my thing about building products and platforms.
So you went from making sure people eat food to making sure people eat profits.
That's the plan, yeah. Beans, serving up beans.
Well, awesome. Good pleasure to meet you, Adam. Now, besides yourself, is there anybody else on the HODL team that you'd like to introduce as well, whether they're here or not?
No, I can see there's people in the community, but just to keep things simple, it's just me tonight.
Well, excellent. Well, happy to have you, and thank you for thinking us around. Now, that being said, though, besides yourself, if you want to give us a rundown, though, of who else is on the HODL team, whether present or not, and what kind of what is their roles within the project, and how did you all come together and find each other, and come together with the idea for the project?
Yeah, so there's a lot of important people involved. We've got a guy called Marius who he builds all of our games and these kind of subsequent NFT ranges. He's a game developer in real life for a number of years and is a gaming kind of obsessive. So he drives all of the gaming development. We've got Julian, or Julek as he's sort of labeled on Telegram. He does all of the the smart contract work. Then we've got Dr. Grumpy, who does all of our API work and various bots and so on. Plus a number of people who play smaller parts in terms of things like with AI, helping us run the community and so on. So we're a team of about 10. And we all came together. All of us are holders of the project, of HODL. We all came together because we really love the project and we all invested. And the developer who launched it in May 2021, he as often is the case with developers, they sort of have quite short attention spans, and a few months in, it, very successful. It ran out to 230 million, and he kind of signaled to us, the team, that he wanted to sort of hand it over and sort of move on to the next project. So a number of us, including a guy called JG, we basically took over. But I think what's quite unique, and even to this day, everybody that works on the team actively invests into the project as well.
No, I mean, that makes the most sense. So that the people that are the people that are working on the project, since they're hodlers themselves, I should say, they actually have a personal stake in seeing the success of the project that they're actually involved in, which is honestly, I think, more respectable than a lot of other projects, where some devs don't even hold their own product. Yeah,
I think so. I think after sort of the first period, when that was kind of how it came about, that everybody working on the project were passionate holders, it almost became like something that I kept in mind. So when I've got people that have joined the team recently, for example, and again, they've been people in our community that have certain skill sets. So recently we had a guy join us who is brilliant with AI and is doing like a degree in AI. But first and foremost, he was a passionate holder who then said to us, "Hey, I've got these skills. Can I use them?" And that's kind of like the direction that we've gone in. And I want to retain is that the people who work on the project are first and foremost holders and believe in the project and understand the project, and then they're able to bring the skills that they've accumulated to kind of help the project.
Oh, I appreciate knowing that, and I'm sure that the fellow investors crew in the Skyrim Room Lounge is also interested in knowing that. Now, thanks again for giving us a rundown on yourself, the team, and the rest of those involved. Now, that being said, let's turn our attention to the project itself. What is HODL, and what makes it worth investing in?
Yeah, the thing that I kind of fell in love with about this project, and I think the thing that people value most, is that we're really leading the way when it comes to helping people earn from their cryptocurrency as they hold. So the most fundamental principle of our project is that when you invest into HODL, you're able to claim free BNB every week. So our whole thing is centered around leading the market when it comes to earning rewards whilst you're holding your crypto.
Makes sense. Sorry, I'm not sure if you cut off there, but I'm hearing myself for some reason.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I still got you then. It seems the Telegram connection lately is a little bit choppy. Yeah, so that being said, that it's a fairly, at least in terms of the core of how the HODL project itself operates, the core function, I should say, it's fairly. Now, when I say simple, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in the way of, like, because it's not overly complicated, it's very straightforward and easy to understand. And especially the fact that HODL is a name that those who have also been in here since the COVID era should be familiar with. Because we've heard the term HODL, quite often. And essentially at its core, it's the BNB reflection token. And, you can never really have, I want to say you can never really have too much of those, but you technically can, but you can, as long as you have at least one that's successful. And I think so far the fact that HODL has had so much staying power is already telling about its longevity. Now, you said this project has been around since 2021?
Yeah. It launched in May 2021. In our entire history, so where are we now? Just over 4 years later, our community have been able to claim over 20,000 BNB. So I think that's like at the current BNB price, because obviously it had a real nice little pump. I think it was yesterday. But that's over $16 million worth of BNB that people have claimed by holding token, which is a huge sum of money. And you mentioned that there are a number of, or there have been a lot of reward-based projects out there and reflectionary tokens and so on and so on. Yeah, there have been, but I think we're the first that's really been able to kind of like sustain it and grow and build and survive this long. And I think a big part of that is because we really have this vision around, it's such a great brand. I'm astonished that, there isn't already a huge project using this brand, because it's such a well-known word, so powerful. It's like a real call to arms in crypto. But I think what makes it more powerful is that the principle that, if you HODL the token, you get paid. You're earning money as you hold. That whole kind of like tie-in is quite attractive. So we've stuck with it. I've worked on it full time for over 3 years, and the team kept going, whatever's going on externally in the market, because we fundamentally believe that there is a massive space in this industry for people who want to hold a project that they can earn from as they go. So it's not just buy and sell. It's yes, buy, and yes, you can sell, but while you're holding it, you can earn some as well.
Absolutely. And the fact that the project has been around for so long goes to show, that from so far, it sounds like what you're doing has aided in the longevity, has ensured the longevity of the project, I should say, especially the fact that when it came out would have been so May of 2021 was about it was during the time of the so-called golden bull run of the COVID era. And that was when we saw BNB taking off like crazy. Bitcoin itself had gone, I think, like 6x the winter before. So like that would have been one of the original reflection tokens that wasn't SafeMoon, for example.
Yeah, it was a very beautiful time. I can remember it so well, because it was just
the good old days.
Yeah, it was quite magical, really. There was so many normies in the space, and I think that's what. Some people are saying, "Oh, we're in a bull run now," and for me, I think
that's what I'm going to do. Actually,
it's still a long way off. I think we're going to see like a huge flood of retail customers come back into crypto soon, and that's what we'll really see, like the big pumps and the big gains. But yeah, that's how it was in 21, and like I say, it launched in May, and I think by the end of July, BNB absolutely pumped, and HODL went from like 5-10 million, it shot up to about 230 million and had about 10,000 BNB in the reward pool. So it was just a crazy time. But the other thing that I think, again, people fell in love with and stuck with it because it had such a good vibe. Like people weren't in the community and holding the project kind of like against each other, because like hoping for it to pump so that they could kind of like everyone was holding because they were earning this reward income and loving it and getting to know each other. That was quite unique. So that was kind of another reason why we all stuck with it and have such strong belief in this concept.
No, absolutely. And it goes to show as well that the HODL community, for having been around for that, because a lot of with a lot of these projects, especially if if they don't have the community, or they don't have the functionality to maintain the staying power. And we've seen this so many times since since 2020, 2021, where a project will launch and everybody would be it's even all the big fanfare and everyone would think it's so great, and then 3 months later, let alone like a month later, where the hell did it go? But the fact that DeFi projects such as HODL has not only been around for, surpassed that, it's been around for 4 whole years, which in crypto terms, essentially an eternity. It is impressive enough. And, for having such a, again, at its core, when it first launched, it was fairly simple, but I guess the best way I want to put it is that the hodlers, they're not just hodling onto the token itself, they're also hodling onto the community of HODL and ensuring that it maintains its presence and it maintains its stability both in terms of price strength, but also community strength.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, one of the really important things is that the people who have stayed with the project are really committed. You know, so we've kind of shot up recently to around about 6 million market cap with about $550,000 of liquidity. So it's quite strong in that regard. But you know, the whales and the people that have stayed with the project for a fairly lengthy period of time, they're really committed. You know, if you actually look at the holders, the top 50 holders, you'll see that very, very few, like maybe one or two, are selling anything. The rest are just holding because, you know, most of these people, they just want that reward income. They want to, you know, we've been doing it 4 years. We're heading into a bull run, and they're there to sort of reap the rewards of staying with it and reap the rewards of what they can achieve in the bull run. But they fundamentally want income. You know, they don't want to be. They don't want. I think a lot of people
just be standing there watching.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people are like that. I've kind of lost the sort of love for that kind of lifestyle. You know, like chart chasing and pre-sales and all that stuff. Like it just doesn't really.
I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty tiring and stressful. And there's so many rugs.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Exactly.
You got to do your own. You got to research the whole thing in 5 minutes before it launches and whatnot. And not everyone puts everything out right away too either. So you never really know what you're going to get sometimes. Well,
no, exactly.
Most of them, I should say.
And there's been a lot of rugs, hasn't there? The last
oh God, yeah.
3 years, it's been particularly on Solana and stuff. There's so many rugs and
enough rugs to cover all of India with a 10-foot layer.
Exactly. So yeah, I think people are kind of like. I do think as well with our project, like people who maybe are, should we say the normies, you know, they're going to really like a project like this, where they can kind of like invest, get back on with their lives, and just every week they can collect their B&B rewards, they can see it grow. I think that's going to be really attractive. You know, this project I think will be highly successful in the bull run because I think a lot of normies will really want to be a part of it.
No, absolutely. It's one of those things, especially where you don't have to be glued to the charts 24/7. You just gotta see what kind of. It's basically one of those ones where you don't necessarily worry about the price of the token itself. You're more concerned about, well, maybe not concerned, but what you're looking at is more how much rewards you have coming in than it is about the actual value of the token itself on the chart.
Yeah, and there's a few other parts to that as well. Like I've noticed recently, particularly as we sort of head towards this next bull run, there's a big sort of trend where developers are launching projects where the market cap looks impressive, but it's based on really low liquidity, and I think it's a bit misleading, like that kind of ratio. I've seen projects where it's like 0.2%. liquidity versus market cap. With us, it's like 11%.
It's like a $30 million market cap, but only like 10,000 in liquidity or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that causes a lot of instability. But again, with this project, it's about stability. It's about the long term. You know, the liquidity is locked for 255 years because we see this as a lifelong project. You know that. Everybody involved can participate. They can earn rewards. The rewards are good. You know, people are even in a bear market, they're getting around 50% APR. So if you invested $1,000, you know, by the end of 12 months, your bag's going to be $1,500 just based on the APR. But obviously, if the value of the project goes up in the bull run, and you know, as the project grows, it's only going to go up, and you're going to get more and more rewards because your bag's grown, you're sort of effectively compounding. So there's a sort of like stability to it, but I think this thing could absolutely, like it did last time in the last bull run, it could absolutely explode because people, as the reward pool grows, more people want to get involved and claim those rewards, and that drives the price up, which then creates more rewards, which and gets more people in. So the whole thing really with this project is it's about sort of keeping it going in the longevity and building the ecosystem around it so it's stable and that it's, we've worked out how to kind of like best operate the contracts and stuff so that things are done smartly and intelligently and give options to our holders. But there will be a point of critical mass where that reward pool will pull people in and it will just explode like it did last time. And that's what I think a lot of the people that are stuck with it in the bear market, they're here to sort of be there when we enter the full scale of the bull run.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of things exploding, I checked the deck screener link that was in the promo pitch for this project when it was sent to me. Now, I saw that back in I think it was May 20th ish. There was a very there was a very prominent surge in the value of HODL during that time earlier this year. Was that in regards to the 4-year anniversary of the project?
No, I still kind of like. I still sort of pinch myself with what happened, but no. CZ retweeted.
Oh wow!
Twice actually. So you can see
that is impressive.
Yeah, you can see two spikes. But we work with El Jaboom, really big, popular influencer, and particularly on the B&B chain. And I think he's in Dubai where CZ is, and he put a tweet out about us saying, how the project's paid out over 20,000 B&B, and the team have just kept building and stuck with it, and they're sort of still going. We've got an app coming and a game coming and all this stuff. And it just, slightly surprisingly, it just must have caught CZ's eye, and he retweeted it, which, for like a project like a DeFi project, particularly one that's sort of been running 4 years, and, at the time we were about 2.5 mil market cap, was just like wild. But I think the values that we stand for, in the 4.5 years, I've only worked on this project. I've not worked on any other projects. That's unique, and I think he liked that. The fact that it's paid out over 20,000 B&B, the fact that we're building relentlessly on the B&B chain. I think these are all values that he sort of believes in. And as a result, when he saw this tweet, he retweeted it, and it just exploded. It went from I think it was like 2.5 mil to 9.5 mil in about half an hour. And then he did it again when we were talking about how claiming rewards. So under the original developer back in May 21, claiming a B&B reward cost about $1 in gas fees.
Oh yeah.
And we've massively optimized the contract, and the network has upgraded to reduce the fees. It's now costs about 1 cent or under a cent.
Wow, yeah, very much impressive.
It's like less than 1% of the original cost, and we put a tweet out about that, and El Jaboom shared it, and then CZ retweeted that. So again, it ran up because of that. And the thing is, the people that came in with those two tweets and pumped it up, that. They're obviously speculators. They kind of come in and out, but it really pumped our reward pool. And what we're seeing now is we're sort of heading back towards 6 million, but totally organically, because the reward pool grew, and then that bank of kind of long-term holders have been claiming their rewards and then reinvesting them into HODL, because you get benefits when you reinvest. And that's why you're sort of seeing this nice kind of incline that we're on. I think we've had 22 days of just of going up like an arrow, and we're kind of floating around 6 mil market cap now, and it's off the back of these CZ tweets, pumping the pool, and then people kind of in the community getting more rewards and reinvesting them. So it was crazy. I don't think I've ever seen him do that for another project, to be honest, particularly not one of this size.
No, definitely impressive. And yeah, exactly. I think because I assume there are a lot of different projects. Well, of course, there are a lot of different projects that come across CZ's tweet deck. Given that he's such a prominent figure, well, the most prominent figure, at least in the Binance Smart Chain within the space. But the fact that he had his eye on this one in particular and saw how long it's been around, I think that justifies him, him retweeting and acknowledging it. Now, One thing I do have to ask as well, speaking of the deck screener, speaking of the chart, I noticed that at least the deck screener chart, it seems to only go until about December 2024. Is that is there more to it than that, or was that maybe just one deck screener itself that's bringing us all the data that they have in particular?
Yeah, no, basically around that time, so I think it was on the 12th of December last year, we migrated from the previous contract to our latest one.
Oh, okay.
But the previous contract had a 1 quadrillion supply, like an absolutely huge number.
Yeah.
It was kind of fashionable back in 21, like projects would have insanely big supplies and people would feel that they're rich. But we've migrated to a new contract with a 10 billion supply.
Okay, much more reasonable.
Yeah, and the reason we've chosen 10 billion is quite frankly because we're aiming at $1 per token, because there's a lot of tokens launching at $1 billion with like a fraction of what we've built and the infrastructure and the revenue generation and everything we've got in place.
And they're the ones where it's like you get 1 million tokens for a penny. And where's the value in that?
Exactly, yeah. So we've gone with a 10 billion supply. And then everybody that was holding the last token, they basically received the new token like for like. So if it was basically...
okay, like an airdrop.
Yeah, exactly. We airdropped all holders their balance at the time of migration, but minus 5 zeros because the supply was 5 zeros smaller. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. I appreciate the clarification on that, and that definitely gives both myself and I'm sure quite a few investors here some clarity as to why a project that's been around since May 2021 only has a chart of less than a year. So thanks so much for that. Now, speaking of building, I do want to ask, what are your short-term and long-term plans for this project, and how much of your roadmap would you say that you've covered so far? Because it's expanded. I checked the website, and it's expanded a lot more than just the token, than just the reflection token itself.
Yeah, definitely. I would say if you go to the website hodltoken.net /roadmap, I think we're about 65% of the way through. Some of the biggest things that we've been working on, like we've got 2 projects that we've spent 3 years building that are, one of them's probably a few weeks away, which is this big game that we've already been approved to launch the game on Epic Game Store. And that's been about 3 years in the works. That's about to land and will bring revenue to the project and pump the reward pool. And then we have the HODL app, where the big kind of concept was that you can access every part of the HODL ecosystem in one really simple, beautiful to use app, claim your rewards and get things like reward timers that will say, oh, your rewards are due and you'll get a notification. But also it gives fiat on and off ramping. So people that don't know how to use Pancake Swap and don't know what slippage is and so on and so on and so on, they can just use the app. It'll create a wallet for them in the background. They can buy the token with fiat, and they can even off ramp to fiat. So the app and the game are kind of our next big deliverables, which will take us kind of from where we're at now, which I'd say is about 65% through this roadmap, to more like sort of 75, 80%. And we'll take those 2 things on top of everything else we've got into the bull run, because we've already got mini games that people can play and they can win HODL, and 2 NFT ranges that the thing is with those, they're NFT ranges, but they carry a lot of utility. We've also got staking pools, so people can stake their NFTs and tokens. So, and they all interlink. There's reason they're not disparate projects. They all work together and they all benefit each other. Yeah. So we've already got a lot in place, but we're about to deliver 2 absolutely phenomenal projects that we've been working on for years, and that will probably take us towards somewhere around 75% of the way through our total roadmap.
Oh, definitely sounds pretty impressive so far. Now, you mentioned the game that you're working on, or the multiple games that are being worked on for this project, where you have the ability to both play to earn HODL and also win HODL. If you could give us a bit more detail about a couple of those that you're working on as well.
Yeah, so the thing that we've already got live is we've got 6 mini games. So we've reimagined, like we've done a new and graphically improved version of the classic Solitaire, and a handful of other games that you'll kind of recognize that are quite sort of famous games that we've sort of have tweaked and rebranded to kind of fit with our brand and with so you've got 6 mini games, and anyone can play them. They're not sort of, you don't have to kind of like pay to play them, or there's no gate kind of keeping going on with those games. You visit the website, go to the play to earn section and play any of our 6 mini games, and if you score enough, there's a leaderboard basically. So at the end of every month, we pay out HODL tokens depending on how people have performed and where they ranked on the leaderboard. So we've got 6 mini games, and we're just about to launch this huge, which would be a massive project in itself. If this was a standalone project, it would be a huge project. It's it's what we call a procedurally generated space-based shooter. So like the game is set in space, you kind of fly along and you have to sort of take out enemies and survive these harsh environments. But we use a technology called procedural generation. So every time the game is played, it generates a unique world. So like every time you play it, it's different. There's no 2 versions of any level that's played by anyone that will ever be the same. It's kind of algorithmically generated. So that's been like a huge cutting edge game development. It's kind of studio scale, and we're using AI to kind of produce videos and characters. And the way we kind of monetize that is that we have like a range of NFTs, which are 3D gemstone trading cards, and they're only $35 each. And you buy these gemstones, and you're able to socket the gems, because they'll have like different elemental powers like fire, ice, earth, and so on in your ship. As you take on the game, which again is free to play, they give you an advantage to kind of perform better in a game, and the better you perform, the more HODL you can win. Like that's a big play for us. You know, we kind of believe that this concept of tokenizing in-game purchases is huge, because, you know, tens of, maybe even, I think it's probably even hundreds of billions of dollars get spent a year on people buying golf clubs and guns and skins and so on in games. But as soon as they stop playing the game, they're worthless. So
they can't resell them.
No, you can't resell them. They're kind of locked in. So with our game, you know, we're making it that it's free to play, but the NFTs give you these in-game assets which help you basically perform better. But the assets themselves, these gemstone NFTs, because they're tokenized, you know, you can resell them. We're also going to create a system whereby you can rent them. So if you were to mint a really rare one, you might be able to rent it to a player who wants to sort of use it, because they'll be able to earn more HODL. So the game is kind of like ticking a number of boxes in terms of like where we believe the future of gaming is heading.
Oh, absolutely. Now, speaking of the future of gaming, that being said, now, would you consider this to be part of your effort to appeal to the more mainstream, as much as I want to say investor, I'm thinking more the mainstream player, or even just a layperson who may not be familiar with the crypto space, let alone the DeFi space yet. Does this seem like this would be an opportunity for you to reach out and kind of get those people on board and introduce them to the crypto and DeFi ecosystems?
Yeah, 100%. I think that kind of strategically, we've done it as a standalone project. So you can actually visit the website, which is gemfighter.game. So it will be a standalone brand and website and experience that you don't have to hold our token. You don't have to have any interest in our token to kind of participate or to enjoy the game. But the reason we've done this is that by building this awesome game that we've spent 3 years building, it's going to bring revenue to the ecosystem. It's going to bring revenue to the project to help us fund, our overheads, our operational expenditure, developers, marketing. But it will also deliver buybacks on the token. It will put revenue into the reward pool. So we're effectively utilizing our skill sets and our experience to kind of like create almost like a second business that's linked to HODL that's going to help bring revenue and sustain, further sort of build the sustainability piece, because I think that's the key, really. Like, you can't just most reward tokens that have launched in the market, what they're doing is they're basically entirely reliant on volume. So for every $1 million of volume, X percentage goes out as reflections or as rewards. But the problem with that is that they all kind of go up and they all come down and they never recover. So we kind of identified very early that we have to create things that generate revenue. During the bear market, we've sold over 5,000 NFTs, which has delivered a best part of $500,000 that we use to kind of grow the project, fund marketing, cover our overheads, pay for developers, put money in the reward pool. And so this is just an extension of that. We're building this awesome game, which, yes, people who have no interest in HODL can play, and we can and we'll still monetize that. But people who are interested in HODL can also play it, and we can kind of like cross-pollinate. There'll be people playing the game that engage our community that then might want to go on to hold the token. So it's quite a complicated thing to manage in that regard, because you're sort of managing them both separately. But we're sort of purposely doing that because it's a brilliant standalone game that I think is going to be really successful. But it will boost the project, and people on either side of the game or the token can kind of like get involved in either side of it.
Absolutely. And now, speaking of getting those people involved, speaking of reaching out to them, in terms of a marketing project, besides the show that you're on with us right now, what are some other marketing plans that you have in store to help promote HODL? I know that a lot of projects don't want to reveal too much about their marketing plans until further on down the road, but how much are you able to provide us at this time?
Yeah, I mean, I would sort of, what we're doing at the moment is we have carefully selected some very good, reputable, diamond-handed influencers. El Jaboon being one. His relationship with CZ has helped us a lot recently, as we've seen. But he's got a big reach on the chain. So we've got good influencers. We've got about 4 or 5 that we work with kind of like consistently. We do a lot of marketing in-house, and I think that's important. One thing I've kind of noticed is that projects spend an absolute ton of money outsourcing marketing. It's incredibly expensive. Marketing in crypto is so expensive. So we've actually taken a slightly different approach, because I've built and ran a digital marketing agency previously to getting involved in crypto. So we've kind of built a lot of the systems and processes and resources to deliver a lot of digital marketing in-house. So we've got really strong, well-maintained social media presence across all channels. We do a lot with sort of trending. So we kind of like are able to kind of like operate in a way where we know that we're going to kind of have a lot of traction on Dex Screener and Dex tools and trend on those. So we're trending on them right now, for example. People are seeing us there. That for me is really important. And then we're doing things that are unique, like campaigns. And again, some of them we do in-house, some of them we do out externally. So things like targeting all the people that have visited our website with banner ads and so on, getting them to come back and spend more effectively. We're also working on a number of partnerships. So at the moment, we're talking to the BNB chain team about partnering and getting involved with them on a number of things. So we take a sort of we try to do as much marketing as we can in-house and really well, because to be honest with you, when you do it in-house, you can kind of like pretty much deliver and measure and sort of be certain that there's going to be returns on your investment. And if there's not, it's not sustainable. So we do that in
Like
house, and then the stuff we can't do in house, we very carefully select partners and people to work with that can kind of like deliver those things.
It's like that old saying, if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself, kind of thing. At least that way you can trust who is doing it because, well, it's literally you.
Yeah, Matt, and to put that into context, I think some of the stuff that we do, like for example, when we're trending on various platforms, it's probably 10 to 20% of what it would cost to do it externally, and we've just built these functions in-house effectively for this project. So we've got quite a lot of weaponry when it comes to marketing in-house that's very cost-effective and high return. And then, we have a good bank of influencers that we sort of believe in and that are here to come on the full journey that we've got to know over a period of time that are sort of also helping us reach more people. And then, I think partnerships really is a big thing. So, but the one that we're really focused on and working hard on is partnering up with B&B Chain on a number of their programs, because they've got quite a few if you sort of really dig into it. So kind of currently working through all of that.
Oh, definitely. Well, thanks so much for the clarification on that as well, and the marketing efforts that you're continuing to put forward for this project, and also who's putting them forward. That is all the end of the questions I have myself. Now we're going to go ahead and turn our attention to the questions from the studio audience. I'm going to start off in the voice chat. We had Alfred Willis, for the first one, who has had his hand up for basically since the AMA started. So, Alfred, you unmuted and able to speak. How are you today, sir? Feel free to go ahead and ask a question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can. Please go ahead and ask a question.
So, let me go on my question.
Mm-hmm.
I've been keeping tabs on this AMA since. So, my question goes like this: comparison analysis. How does your project plan on mechanizing compared to other tokens in this market, and what are the sets it's apart? Do you get it? Or should I go again?
You try running that. Yeah, try running that one more time, please. It was a little bit unclear.
How does O's reward mechanism compares to other tokens in these markets, and what set them apart from these other tokens in the market?
Yeah, I've got that. Great question. I could, I would enjoy spending a good hour talking about that, because that's been a huge thing. And we spoke about sustainability of reward tokens, so I'll try and touch on a few things that that are different around our reward project versus others. One of my favorites, and something we've done recently, is that we have a system that's built into the smart contract that generates the B&B rewards that go into the B&B reward pool. So how that works is that when people buy, sell, and transfer the token, there's a 5% tax. So you need 6% slippage to buy or sell. But those tokens that are collected in tax get stored on our contract. And that's always been the case. And then when it sells, some of those tokens get converted into B&B, and then you connect to the D app on our website and you claim your share of the reward pool. Now that's all pretty straightforward, and that's how we kind of operated from day one. But over time, we've really refined that. So we've developed our system so that the bot, when it's converting these tokens it's collected into B&B rewards, it's dynamic. It's looking at things like the price performance of the token. Is the price of the token going up, down, sideways, and by how much? It looks at the token balance. So the amount of tokens that are held in the reward pool, is that going down? Is that going up? And it also looks at how many B&B are in the reward pool. Is it dropping? Is it climbing? And then based on all of that, it will dynamically determine how many tokens convert into rewards. So in times when, when previously the project ran up very hard over one weekend, it went up about 150 million market cap in one weekend. And if it did the same now with the reward pool bot being dynamic, it would generate around 5 times more rewards. So the logic behind how the system is generating rewards has an intelligence to it. It's looking at token price, the BNB pool, how it's growing or declining, and how many tokens we have in reserve for the generation reward. So that one thing, for example, that we've developed and is totally unique to any other reward project in history. And then we have a number of other things. Like, for example, when you claim your rewards, you can select to take BNB, or you can select to take BNB plus, half BNB and half HODL, and then the HODL is tax free. Or if you want to reinvest 100% of your BNB rewards, you get those tokens tax free, plus you get to claim again rather than in 7 days. You get to claim again in 4 days. So you're being significantly rewarded by reinvesting. So there's about 6 or 7 things like that we've added and developed into the smart contract, into the project, that boost rewards, reduce cost, and use logic and sort of intelligence within the smart contract to determine the best times and the best amounts of rewards for the system to generate. So those things are super important, and we've been refining and building those for years. And I think that's a huge thing that sets us aside.
Okay, sir. Sir, that was an amazing answer. So,
excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for your response. Sorry, we're going to move to another to next question, but I do appreciate your question. If you have any further questions that you'd like to ask to the team yourself, you're welcome to pop over to the official HODL Telegram channel at HODL Investor Group, and you can ask further there. But we're going to move on now to the text chat side, where we have we're going to go with Rayhan, who asks, because I noticed that we did suddenly start to get quite an influx of questions in the text later on. So I'm kind of filtering through to see which ones are most applicable, or the product, or going to be answered a bit more in depth. Rayhan asks, upcoming features like HODL pay cards, Texas HODL and poker, and the Telegram trading bots. How could those potentially impact the growth of the project, either positive or negative?
Yeah, again, whenever we build, so from your perspective as investors, you need to understand that we are only we're only working on this project. I don't have any other tokens, any other projects. So when we build something like, for example, in the future, we're looking to build Texas HODL, because there's, it's something that the community have asked for, and it would be really cool if we could kind of play poker and allow people to play poker with their crypto and stuff who aren't even invested in the project. We look at these things and we build these things, but the objective is that they complement the project, they support the project. So revenue created by, say, our upcoming game, or any Telegram trading bots we create, or the poker we create in the future, these things are going to be designed to create revenue, facilitate buybacks, to facilitate burns, to facilitate, generating revenue to sort of pay the bills, so that we have full-time staff, that we have developers, that we can start hiring full-time developers. We're sort of, as I mentioned earlier, you can't just have a contract which taxes and then converts those taxes into rewards, because it doesn't last. We are creating this token that you hold where you get rewards, but we're building it around it, products and services and businesses effectively that are a part of the project that bring revenue and growth to the overall ecosystem. So even somebody who doesn't want to play the poker, when we build that in the future, they will still benefit, because the revenues and what we gain from building these things will boost and drive the token and the reward pool.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much for your response. Thank you, Rayhan, for the question. Now going to move over to the voice chat again. Jeffrey has had his hand up for a while. So Jeffrey, you're able to speak, and please go ahead and ask your question.
Okay. Hello guys, can you hear me?
Sorry?
Yeah, sorry, you mate.
So can I go on with my question?
Yeah, please go ahead and ask a question.
Okay, apart from the strengths of your team, which I think consists of great people, but the revenue is very important also for the growth and progress of every project. So how do you generate profits or money to keep your project going? And also, what is your revenue model? How can this provide a win-win situation for all stakeholders, users, investors, and projects?
Yeah, so we've built one of the big things that we were able to utilize during the bear market was our HODL hands NFT range. So that generated around $500,000 of revenue, and then that revenue was used to cover the overheads of the project. So the part-time and full-time people working on the project, developers, some of the sort of operational expenditure, like running systems and servers and so on, and things like marketing, plus buybacks and burns. So we've had a good journey throughout the bear market with our utility-rich NFT ranges, and we've sold a lot of NFTs because they have great utility, and we get revenue from that. We've launched a second range of NFTs, which are specifically built for the game that we've created. And again, that game, which is about to go live, we think that's going to be very successful, and people are going to be wanting to buy the NFTs because it basically helps them perform better in the game and win more HODL. So that will bring us additional revenues. And then on top of that, we have staking pools, so people can stake their NFTs. And there's been some fees that we've generated from those staking pools that again have supported the project. So we've got several lines of revenue that come in and that kind of have basically allowed us to I work on this full time. It's the only thing I work on. Plus we've got all these developers, and those things that we've built has allowed that. But we have more coming with, the game's about to come. There's going to be some revenue generation opportunities for the project with the HODL app. We're going to add like a payment card, so you'll be able to claim your reward income through the app and then spend it on like a debit card. And there'll be some small fees. There'll be some fee generation there as well. So, but that's the point really, is that pursuit, that sort of mindset is the key. We've got the reward token, but we have built and we're continuing to build these things around it that bring revenue in to kind of make the project sustainable.
Oh, okay.
Excellent. Thanks for your response, Jeffrey. Does that answer your question?
Projects have okay. And also, what strategies does your projects have in place to attract merchants and users in both crypto-friendly and traditional markets?
Very quickly, because I have to move on to the next text question.
Yeah, I think the key is we have a good understanding of the profile of people who are looking for an investment opportunity like this, and then we've carefully aligned with platforms and channels and influencers who we feel have a good reach within those customer segments. So El Jaboom, for example, we carefully, after a lot of research and time, we chose him as one of our lead influencers because he's one of the biggest influencers on the BNB chain and works closely with all of the guys at the BNB chain. So we were both able to reach more BNB chain users who want to be claiming BNB rewards, but also get connections and make contact with the BNB chain team. So yeah, we have a good understanding of that. And I think I mentioned as well, we know from the previous bull run that people that come into the bull run who aren't as experienced as the people that are in the crypto during the bear market, they are looking for projects like this, simplistic ways of earning money that don't require them to sort of stay up all night looking at charts. So, our messaging and how we're going to push that out will be targeting those people. And we're even looking at allowing them to claim their rewards in a range of currencies. So they might say, okay, well, half of my rewards I want as Bitcoin, half of them I want as BNB, or, and some of it as HODL, and that kind of thing. So, and we've built, apps. The app we've built is designed for people who basically don't have the experience of how to download the wallets and use Pancake Swap, and what does slippage mean, and so on and so on. So we've built both products for our customer set, and then built relationships with influencers that to make sure that we can reach out to these people.
Excellent. Thanks so much for your response. Thank you, Jeffrey, for the question. Next question is going to come from Little Molly V in the text chat, who asks, are there plans to integrate other blockchain networks or expand beyond the Binance Smart Chain in the future? And are there any limits or caps on the total BNB rewards that an individual holder can claim within a certain period?
So we're very bullish on the BNB chain, and there was a period during the bear market where people said, "Oh, you should switch to Solana and that kind of thing," because that was the hype at the time. But the thing is, we've built this big ecosystem, so that would be a huge job, and we've stuck with BNB because fundamentally, it's backed by the biggest exchange in the world. They have a huge amount of staff and team and resource. So we're very bullish on the chain, and it's very cost effective. So, somebody can invest $10 and still be claiming weekly BNB rewards profitably. So it has a lot of benefits. In terms of where we see this going is, eventually, probably we'll start this process during the bull run, because there will be a significant investment required. But where I see this going is that we will be pretty much chain agnostic. You'll be able to invest into HODL. Maybe we'll even have our own chain at that point. And you'll be able to invest with different currencies, and you'll be able to claim different currencies. These are all the things we've planned. Because I think, the whole plan ultimately is to work across all chains rather than and be limited to, say, just one. And that will be that's part of our roadmap actually, is to kind of go across the chains, because the way I see it, with crypto is that there will come a time, and this needs to happen, where people, when it comes to banking, for example, you don't know what software the bank uses and how they built their banking systems. It just works. And we want to apply that same kind of rationale to our project. You invest into our project, you get rewards as you hold that are very strong and compelling, and it's very simple. Underneath that, we plan to work with multiple chains in the future, and we will make it really simple for people. That's the ultimate vision, is to effectively be chain agnostic in the future.
Excellent. Thanks so much for your response. Thank you to Little Molly V for the question. Our last question for today's AMA is going to come from Elon Not Musk. Seems a little bit familiar in terms of who is who and who is not. That being said, Mr. Not Musk, you're unmuted and able to speak. Please go ahead and ask a question.
Thank you for the opportunity.
My pleasure. Please go ahead and ask questions.
Okay. My
question, I should say.
Yeah. It says that your smart contracts are upgradable. Am I right?
Yeah. We use a proxy contract, and I really feel strongly about this, because we're dealing with code. The smart contract, which carries things like how our reward bot converts tokens into rewards, and things like people claiming their rewards and being able to claim in HODL or BNB and so on. All of that logic is within your smart contract, and over time, because our contract is upgradable. Now, it doesn't change the contract address. I want to be clear on how proxy contracts work. You just change some of what's called the implementation logic. So, effectively, the code, the logic that is behind your contract address. We're able to change that, and the way we manage that though, because there's sort of like I would say an unfair concern within the market that well, if you can upgrade the contract, then what does that mean? Is there risks? The reality is, if you have a project where the development team have bad intent, it doesn't matter if they can upgrade the contract or not. They can basically rug or do things that they shouldn't be doing. So for me, the point of being able to upgrade is just that it allows us to continually improve our software, the logic behind our contract and our system. But with the way we do that is that we announce any upgrades, because there are always things that, the community get excited about, or things that enhance the project. So there's that transparency. The contracts are published on GitHub, so you can actually see the code if you wish. We use auditors to make sure that the code is hyper secure. And again, we share the audits, but it just allows us to move with the times. And it's allowed us to do things like reduce our cost per claim from around $1.20 to down to under a cent. In the future, though, the plan is, once we've delivered a lot of our roadmap, we plan to lock the ability to upgrade the contract, and then there'll be some sort of voting system. So we'll say to the community, okay, we want to make these enhancements to the contract, and this is why, and this is what it will do, but we'll require a percentage vote to do that. And I think that will be a sort of a perfect scenario. But we also have kind of mitigated some of the potential concerns about an upgradable contract by doing things like locking the liquidity. So that's locked for over 250 years, but also things like just being transparent as a team. We're doxed, we're KYC'd. So, we have, and actually HODL, there's an entity behind HODL, a registered company. So we're running this like a kind of a tech company with a lot of transparency, a lot of auditing, a lot of security. But imagine like any business like Google, Facebook, any business that's a software company. Imagine if the first time they launched Facebook, or the first time Twitter was launched, imagine if that code could never be changed. It would just be a disaster. It doesn't make sense. So we have the upgradable contract, but we make sure we sort of counterbalance that with all of those other things I've mentioned. And then in the future, once we've finished our roadmap, we will look to lock it up and use voting for the next time we want to make any upgrades, and we'll sort of run that by the community. And I think that will become, personally, I think that's where it will go, because I think contracts that launch with that carry as much logic as our token does, they need to iterate, they need to evolve. You need to refine them, and we do that, and we've done loads of awesome things with our contract. And if you can't do that, then you're going to get left behind. So we've got a slightly unique approach, and I think it makes total sense. And then we use a lot of security, but our contract's also multi-sig. So like if we want to make a change, it requires 2 of the 3 owner wallets to publish that change. So we've got a lot of security, a lot of auditing, but we're free to innovate effectively still.
Excellent. Thanks so much for your response. Elon, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. I love how transparent you are, and how honest you are in explaining this to me, and and it answers my question. I wish you all the best on your project. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Excellent. Thank you all for your wonderful questions. That being said, unfortunately, there's out of time for questions from the studio audience. But if you have any further questions for Adam or the rest of the HODL team, you can go to their Telegram themselves, at Telegram directly at HODL, at t.me/HODL Investor Group. Ask any further questions you have there, or the mods and the dev team will be happy to answer at that time. So before we close out today's AMA, Adam, do you have any final statements you'd like to make to the Skyrim calls community?
I would just say, yeah, thanks for joining. We're a one project team working full time. We've been doing it 4.5 years. We've paid out over 20,000 B&B, so there's a great history. We've got an awesome brand, and we're very transparent. We've got a lot of security, and people involved in our project, they can turn up in the Telegram every day or every week whenever they log in, and they'll see us there, active, being transparent, working hard, and I think in crypto, that's not always the case. So if you're somebody that sort of wants to be involved in a project that has a long-term vision, and ours is to be the leader of cryptocurrency that you can earn from as you hold to earn is the space that we're looking to dominate. If you're looking for a project that does that for you, and we've got a great track record of paying out awesome rewards, we're here for it, and as far as I'm concerned, we'll be here doing this for the next 40 years or whenever it is I retire.
Hopefully sooner if the HODL rewards pay out well enough for you, right?
What? Honestly, no, because if I won the lottery, I'd still work on it. Well, there you go. But
then you get to work doing it what you love instead of having to. Well, I mean, you're working to love it anyway, but you basically get to be working on it for fun at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the key is that all the people that are in the team, we're there because we love the project and we're passionate about the project. We're not just there to sort of. They're not my developers and the people I work with are not there just to get paid. They're there because they're trying to create things and a part of the project. And regardless of what happens, that will always be the case. So whatever happens, we'll stay with it. And we've got, that's easy to say, but when you've been doing that for over 4 years, including through the worst times, you kind of reach a point when it's like people can't say, well, that's not, that sounds great, but is that true? Well, we've been turning up every day for 4 years, whatever's been going, when everyone was saying B&B's dead, when there was all the SECs, we're still turning up, we're still grinding, because our goal ultimately is to become like a household brand. Crypto's going to overtake finance and become the new form of finance, blockchain driven finance. And we want to be the ones there that are for people that want to earn as they're holding, which for me is better than not. So with this brand and with what we've built, why would we stop? So if you like that and want to get involved, please do.
Absolutely. Adam, I want to thank you once again from HODL for taking time to join us here tonight in the Skyrim Call studio. It was a pleasure to get into both HODL and HODL. They're here in the lounge with us today, and we wish you all the best for your project.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Give it a once again for Adam from HODL. So now that you're here for the team, it's time for you to decide. Are you bullish on this project? Or are you bearish? Will you ape in? Or will you G out? And with that brings us to the end of another episode of Late Night Live with Not Donald Trump. Thank you again to the Skyrim Calls community for the opportunity to have us in your studio tonight, and thank you all for tuning in with us. In addition to hosting exciting and informative AMAs, the Skyrim Calls also offers a variety of additional marketing, trending, and listing services to benefit your project. Tag in the admin to learn more. If you'd like making money, and if you have a project in mind you believe your fellow investors here would be interested in, take advantage of our referral program and get rewarded for any project you bring in that books the Skyrim Call services. And if you enjoyed this AMA, please feel free to give my own channel a follow at Late Night Live to find out what will be next. Until then, have a good night, and we'll see you all next time. A reminder to help control the Jeep population. Spay and neuter your friends and family.